Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm your host Diogenes, and welcome to a new daily review. So, yesterday, we started somewhere right here, right? We were, um, we just closed above this M12 high, right? So, it was normal for us to do some accumulation here and then retrace back into this zone, right? So, closing under this low was not a market structure shift or a boss. It was just us trading back into this range or into this last SNDR responsible of taking this high, right? So this was another SNDR responsible uh, within the same SNDR responsible for this close, right? So closing under this was not a market structure shift, right? So we have something else that happened here, right? So this was Asia, right? From 8 to midnight New York open, right? So this was a classic setup, right? Where we take Asia lows and then go create highs, right? So this is a classic buy day. Okay, having this in mind and having also the structure behind our setup, Asia sweep setup, right? We went, if you go to the M1, right? We had this flip right here, right? So we had this flip and we had this inducement, right? We had this sweep, right? And we had this OB range. It's a accumulation, but it's also an OB range, right? So what do? You take it and either target the last high, right? Or go for Asia highs, okay? So in my case, I targeted this last high, right? And was waiting for the next range, okay, to be created. So in this range, it was also the one set up for life, right? So what do you do again, right? This is the zone, okay? I will just delete it for you guys to see stuff, right? This is the sweep, right? So this is the sweep, and this is the OB range, right? Remember, guys, this is the ICT meaning of OB. So whenever you have two consecutive black candles or down candles, they constitute the OB range, right? So let's just say you were waiting for price to come here, right? So you either miss the trade or take the trade when we have a CSS. And our CSS happened when we closed above this down candle here, right? And this was the trading back to the 50%. So you could have taken it here, stops under the zone for safety, and target the last high, right? Or Asia high, as always, right? So price took Asia highs here, right? They always tend to accumulate after taking the highs, right? And I will always like to wait for the accumulation to end and then create a zone, because they always like to create fake zones here and take them before leave it, right? So I always like to wait for this measure of stop hunt, right? So I wait for it to happen, and then I wait for price to come into it. So here I was waiting again. So what did they do? They stop hunted this leg, right? And they create another zone. But this zone had no inducement, right? So when this happened, I always see that we left the range with speed, right? But I don't trust this range because I know they would come back to this range, and this would be the liquidity for the range. Why? Because I know how much time this took. So this would be nothing but a higher time frame range, right? It would be something on either M12, right? Something like this. This is in DAR, responsible of this break, and we come back to mitigate it. Or if you go to something to M3, as I told you yesterday, you gotta keep recycling your time frames till you find the time frame they're playing on, right? So here, if you see, this is our perfect one life setup, and we have this liquidity into the zone, and this was the perfect tap into our OB, right? Could have taken it from here, no problem, because we had like 3 consecutive candles. Or you could have waited also for the CSS before taking it, right? Which happened here. We CSS and we come back to the candle, right? So this was very, very, very safe long, right? That's it. So I need you guys, and I want you guys to master this time frame mastery. I don't want you to stick to one time frame or the 12 minutes or the 6 minute or anything. I want you to master them all. And before entering any trade, I need you to recycle them all before taking a decision on any time frame, especially on M1, because M1 can be can have a lot of fake moves, right? So yesterday I was pretty sure they were playing on M3, right? So here we created another zone, right? This, okay. We leave it with speed and displacement, all right? So what do you do? We had like the only liquidity I was seeing was this, right? Was this sweep and this sweep, yeah. But I knew it was a trend day following this, right? So I knew this was the SNDR responsible of taking this high, right? I knew if they take its low and liquidate its low, they had to spend a lot of time here before flipping back bullish, right? So I was not waiting for this sweep, right? And I took it aggressively here. Was the perfect one-to-one. This was the perfect one-to-one trade, right? So this was on M3, but before taking that trade, something beautiful presented itself, which was nothing but our one setup for life again, right? So we had the zone, right? We left with displacement and we had some inducements built into it, right? So this was our OB, right? Where's the OB? And look at the perfect tap at 50%, right? So this, I took only the one-to-one, right? Sorry, I took 5 points, remember, right? I knew they were coming for that high, at least to sweep it or something, right? But I didn't like this consolidation here. It can like stop the sweep or anything else. And we had this unmitigated origin of the move that broke this high, right? So I just took some points here, and I shared it, guys, with you on Twitter, and went up to M3 to make sense of it, right? And took the 50% I showed you before, right? Okay, so here was our other zone created, right? It had this inducements, okay? It had this inducement like that, but we were so close to market open, right? And price didn't tap the origin order block here. They respected the imbalance a little bit here, right? So this happens too. And they didn't also tap the 50%, so I didn't take anything here, right? And I kept following price. Unfortunately, no clear setup presented itself after that, right? So they were going, and they were, remember this, when we are in a trend day, we always will wick or manipulate under lows and close above highs, right? So you never take some crazy short or something else when the pattern is clear and the order flow is clearly bullish. You never take their bait, right? So what I like to wait for is wait for a zone to be created, a fake one, a small one, wait for them to take its low, wait for them to take the high, and then come back to the newly created 50%, which happened here, right? This is perfectly what I was trying to tell you guys. So this is a zone, a fake one. Look, they won't displace above it, right? And they will take its low, right? So when they take the low, I will wait for them to take the high, okay? So when they take the high, I will 100% now trust the zone here, right? So what do we do when we have a zone? We try to see where is the liquidity, okay? So the liquidity was here and here, right? And we have our OB range right here. What do you do? Nothing. You take it from the 50% when the candle is beefy like this. I had this question yesterday, right? About if I can give some measure for when to take a candle from its 50% or when to take it from the high. Unfortunately, guys, depending on price action and volatility, candles will look different every time, and I can have like a specific number of points you can guys respect for this kind of setup, right? So what do? You just eyeball the range, and you compare visually. The size of the candle with the other candles in that very range, right? So this is one setup for life, right? So what do? You target the week high, and that's easy peasy for you, right? So going for our target, we created this zone, and this was also the one setup for life, right? So this was our bullish zone right here. This was our liquidity, right? What do? You take it from the order block, which was here. Now compare this order block with these candles in this range. What do you see? They are pretty much the same. So what do? You take it from the open or from the top. what do you target? The next high or the very next high of the range, right? So this happened. What do you still do? Go to higher time frame, right? Go to some higher time frame. We know that we are operating in M3 now, right? You don't take the bait on M1. You never take the bait on M1. Why? Because you know that they are operating on higher time frame. So here was our zone, right? This was it. Not this wick because it didn't follow this valid low, right? So what do you do? You stalk a setup at 50% or after taking any liquidity, which they never do, right? So no trade. Oh well. Next, they were here. They created this zone, right? Wait for them to close above it. Wait for them to take it into some OB. They don't do it. Next, no problem. This is our zone now, right? So they just kept playing, right? Not respecting anything, right? After this, we had this one set up for life. The liquidity was here, right? Thank you. The order block was here, right? I was waiting for it to top 50% because the order block was kind of huge here, but it never happened, right? No problem. We had our money before, yeah? So after this, market was like coming to an end. And I was not interested to take anything after this because, the drift, it can go either ways. Anyway, that was it for today. Lesson of the day. Know how to play with time frames, right? Because there is, whenever one time frame won't give you clear and good price action, know immediately that they are playing in another time frame. Just look for it, recycle the time frames, and you will find your perfect setups, right? So that was it for today. Take good care of yourself, guys, and see you tomorrow. Ciao, ciao.